Hi guys, so this is a update about Facebook and Apple iOS 14, how it impacts us as advertisers. I've already released some information like this privately to my clients, but I thought I'd put together this public video just to sort of summarize everything that I've learned so far. I've consumed literally 40 to 50 hours of content and also many hours spent reading from Facebook and also other experts, and also what I've seen in my own experience over the last 7 to 8 days with our client accounts within my agency. So I've got some notes here. So the first thing is, just to recap for those who don't know much about what's happened, is that Apple has released an update with iOS 14, which means that when you open up any app from the App Store, once you're updated, then you have to opt in for data sharing. So that is going to affect Facebook. So a lot of people use the Facebook app on their phone. So when they open that up, they'll get the question, do you want to share data with Facebook or something along those lines it'll be. And people can say yes or say no. Now, a lot of people think, when I say a lot of people, there's been a lot of people saying lots like this is the end of the world. But really, you just have to take a bit of a common sense approach. So the first thing is consider that when the European Union first introduced the necessity to show visitors that they could opt in for cookies on their machine, like how big of an impact did that have? And how many people actually opt out of it? Yes, some people opt out of it, but I think there's a lot less than what everybody was talking about. Initially, they were going, oh, everybody's going to opt out of cookie sharing. Well, that didn't actually happen. I think it's going to be the same with the opt-in for Apple iOS 14 as well. However, if you take even the worst case scenario, the percentage of people who use Facebook through Apple iOS, it is a big percentage, and maybe as much as 30 to 40% for some websites, but it's not everybody. So even if everybody opts out of data sharing, that's the impact that it's going to have. Now, I'll talk more about what the actual impact is in terms of what data is now not shared and what is shared in a minute. So what are some of the things that have changed? Well, obviously the opt-in message is one. That's what's changed. Now, from the advertiser point of view, Facebook has introduced some other changes. So the first thing is to do with attribution. So previously, the maximum attribution used to be 28-day click and 1-day view. So that means that if somebody actually clicked on your ad and they ended up purchasing something, you would be able to see that purchase tracked in the Facebook Ads Manager up to 28 days later. Or if they viewed an ad and they went ahead and purchased something within 1 day, then that would be tracked as a purchase within the Facebook Ads Manager. Now, what's changed is that if you create an ad set anew, it is assigned 7-day click as the attribution method. That's it, no view at all. However, you can still configure 7-day click and 1-day view. You just have to manually adjust it. But there is no more 28-day click. So in the world of e-commerce, that might mean that you are not going to see some sales if they occur 7 days after somebody's actually viewed or clicked on your ad. That may happen. Now, I think obviously the higher ticket purchase items, I think that means you're probably going to miss out on seeing some sales data. So I'm going to talk more about how you can, work around that particular issue. But for anything that's a reasonable price, smaller ticket items, etc., I think for most e-commerce retailers, the percentage of people who are going to be completing their purchase more than 7 days after they've actually clicked on your ad is going to be small. So I'm expecting that will have a small impact. Nonetheless, you still need to pay attention to your sales data that comes from your storefront and not rely completely on everything that Facebook is telling you. So just because you are seeing fewer sales being tracked in the Facebook Ads Manager does not mean your ads are not working anymore. It just means that there is less data that's being tracked now, and you should use other tools like Google Analytics to understand how long it's going to take, how long on average it takes for your sales to complete. And if you're finding that majority of people are completing within 7 days, but say 10 or 15% that are completing after 7 days, well, you can expect that there is going to be a corresponding decrease in sales being tracked by your Facebook Ads Manager. All right, so in terms of what other things that will impact, Now, if somebody does opt out of this, so if they see the pop-up on their phone, they go, no, I'm going to opt out of sharing that data with Facebook. Does that mean that you don't get to see anything about what their visitor's done? Absolutely not. They still will be sharing the conversion data for a purchase. So if somebody actually opts out, they see your ad, they go through and purchase something, that purchase conversion data is still going to come back to the ads manager. Now, that's a big deal, and not a lot of people are talking about this, but that is a big thing. So even if they opt out, I'll just repeat that, even if somebody does opt out of data sharing, you are still going to be able to see the purchase conversion data. What that is that only one conversion event is then tracked by Facebook, and it will be the primary conversion event, so it's the highest ranked one. And if you're have an e-commerce store, Facebook will have already configured that to be your primary conversion event. But if you need to go and check it, you've got to go and have a look in your ad manager settings to make sure that you've got, so in your event tracking, look for what your primary conversion event is, and make sure that it is the purchase event. It should be if it's not already, but make sure that it is if you're worried about it. So the other thing that will impact is if you're optimizing for events other than for purchase. Now, if you're in e-commerce, you should not be optimizing for anything other than for purchase, even for your retargeting ad sets. So if you're, say, optimizing for add to cart or initiate checkout, those people who are on iOS 14 who have opted out of the data sharing, well, you're not going to get visibility to those events anymore. So that's another reason just not to optimize for those events in the first place. However, if you might be using analytics to create, to examine data, or you might be creating lookalike audiences based on some of those other lower down events. For example, you might be creating a lookalike audience based on those who have viewed content more than 10 or 15 times, because you know that those people who view a lot more content are more likely to convert, and you can then create lookalike audiences based on a custom audience that consists of those people. Well, it just means that those people who are using iOS 14 who have opted out, you're not going to see those people. So that means that your custom audiences may be a little bit smaller when you're creating them based on those lower down the funnel events. However, at the end of the day, you still need to make sure that your custom audiences ideally consist of at least 1,000 people anyway. And then if you've got a custom audience that's got that amount, we'll make a lookalike audience from that. So there is going to be some impact to custom audiences and lookalike audiences. But once again, I don't think it's going to be huge. Just the other note is that this is only currently impacting people who use Apple devices, so iOS 14, and people who have actually updated and upgraded to the latest and greatest version. It doesn't impact other platforms at this stage. Now, it may impact them in the future, that's true, but at this stage, it's only for those who are on iOS 14. So, coming to the final part of what I wanted to say was, what can you do about this? So what can you do to help get better reporting? So number one, you can use a thing called UTM tracking. So basically, you can add a tag to all of your ads, which will then allow you to, and so include campaign data, the ad set data, the ad that it was for, the referral medium, which is Facebook, of course, so that you can see some more information in your Google Analytics console. Now, this might be useful, bearing in mind that even Google Analytics itself still uses sample data. So when you look at any data in Google Analytics over, say, a week or a month, it will tell you that it's using, such X percentage of sample data. It might be only 30%. So you've still got to make a guesstimate as to what the real number is. So if you're seeing, okay, over the last 7 days, we've had 120 conversions, but the sample is 30%, well, you're going to then need to multiply by 3.3, and then it gives you an estimate as to how many you actually got. So it's not perfect, and neither was the Facebook Ads Manager reporting perfect before either. It is a one-size-fits-all solution that works really well, but it's not perfect, and neither are other solutions as well. So the other thing that you can do is you can implement using the Facebook Conversions API. Now, if you're running on Shopify, the ability to take advantage of the Conversions API is already built in to the Facebook sales channel. So you've just got to enable the advanced tracking, and that will turn on the Conversions API for you already. So what is that? It just means that rather than relying on the pixel or data being blocked when people have ad blockers turned on, you're going to be sharing the data directly from your Shopify storefront. Now, at this stage, the only thing that is shared is purchase conversion event. However, Facebook is going to be introducing additional events into their API tracking. And I imagine that will mean that you'll be able to also track things like add to cart, initiate checkout, etc. events directly from your storefront and send that data directly to Facebook without having to rely on Pixel or anything else. So that's a big thing that's coming. You can see that Facebook are already making changes to work around these new issues with the iOS 14 update and also just with ad blockers in general. And the last thing is you could use a third-party solution. Now, there are third-party solutions around that already utilize the conversions API. And you just have to Google for those. There's a few around. And they will allow you to more accurately track, which of your ads and ad sets are providing conversions. It'll give you instantaneous information to see what is actually converting and what's not, rather than having to wait, especially with the new 24 to 48 to 72 hour delays with conversion tracking data making it back to the ads manager. And if you are spending a lot of money, across different channels, well, a commercial solution might be a good idea for you as well. So that's all I've got for today's video. Just to recap, so iOS 14 updates here, that's going to be impacting just those who use iOS 14, obviously. It means that you are going to miss out on some activity data that the users provide, but not purchase data. So the purchase data will still be coming through, even from those people who opt out of sharing data from their Apple devices. As far as how that will impact 48 to 72 hour delay in reporting, some of that other lower down the funnel conversion data is not going to make it back to Facebook, so that might impact the number of people that will be in your conversion, in your custom audiences and lookalike audiences. However, not as big a deal as what everybody has been talking about. Ways you can work around it: utilize UTM tracking, utilize the Facebook conversion API, and have a look at, if you are a big advertiser, have a look at some third-party options that also utilize the conversion API. And keep in mind that Facebook is going to be adding other events to their conversion API so that you can send data directly to Facebook other than purchase. They're going to be adding in other ones later on. So that's all I've got for this video. If you have any questions or comments or anything else you'd like to add, look, I'd really appreciate your feedback. Drop it into the comment below. Also, if you are wanting assistance with your Facebook campaigns or with your advertising, we are currently providing free strategy sessions to people who've got e-commerce websites. Now, if you aren't actually up and running and getting sales, please don't book one of these calls because time is precious for everybody. However, the calls are free, they're absolutely no obligation, and we will actually take a look at what you're doing with your business and walk you through how you can improve what you're currently doing to get better results in 2021. I'm only offering these strategy sessions for a limited period of time because I've only got so much time in the week. So if you'd like to take advantage of one of those, there will be a link below in the comments where you can book a time for a strategy session to have a chat directly with me or with one of my senior ad buyers as well. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, please go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click the bell icon to be notified for any future content, and I'll see you in the next video.